All right. Thank you, Francis. Let's now go to this conversation with the president of the IFP, Velenkosini Hlabisa. Baba, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'll start with what Pule ends off with there in the interview with Francis, saying that the political parties are now using the issue of the energy crisis for their own electioneering instead of coming together for a solution. How do you respond?
Good evening, Bongiwe, as well as the viewers of SABC 404. What Pulemabe is saying is a joke on him. The IFP in particular is not politicking on this matter, but we are raising a crisis in which the country has been plunged by the failures of the ANC. It is not about politicking, it's about calling the ANC to wake up from being fast asleep when the country is in a deep crisis which is escalating year after year. It's almost 15 years now, living with load shedding and increasing year after year under the full watch of the ANC. And the ANC has been adamant not to listen when the political parties, including the IFP, were raising issues that the infrastructure must be attended as early as yesterday, that the supply chain processes, it must be relaxed to allow the ESCOM to be able to get the equipment directly from the companies that supply engines that are needed by South Africa. Unfortunately, the red tapes in the SCM processes has not been attended. It takes a long time before an equipment is being procured in order to bring an immediate solution. So all we're saying, ANC, we have failed, we are asleep, wake up and get out and let the people of South Africa get political party that will solve this problem within the shortest possible time.
So you say that the issues of red tape continue. The president spoke about this a few months ago in the plan, but also he has appointed, as he reminds us all the time, that he's appointed someone to look at the issue of red tape in the office of the presidency. Are you saying this is not happening?
It has taken too long. I don't know whether they were asleep for all these years, because we've been raising the issue of red tapes that at ESCOM, in order to deal with the energy crisis, there must be a crisis approach in dealing with the SCM process. Only now they are waking up from being fast asleep. That is why it is time up for ANC. Both ANC and Ramaphosa have failed our country, and it is time for the people of South Africa to give them a red card when the elections come. But for now, the ANC must do all it can to come with a turnaround plan that will save our country from falling down. As we see now, we are at stage 6 of the past few days, and we might experience the worst in a very near future, because nothing is predictable what will happen few months down the line.
I'm going to get to the letter that you and various other parties have written in just a moment. But there's a statement that we've just seen by the Minister of Small Businesses Development. And this is, of course, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, and saying that she and her team are currently seized with trying to find solutions aimed at lessening the devastating impact of these rolling blackouts on small businesses. And how do you respond then to that? I mean, at the back of what we've seen happening to businesses.
It's too late. A lot of small businesses, Bongiwe, have closed down. They were not going to be able to trace them, and a number of them are also at the brink of closing down. All the times, the ANC is good in giving false hopes and empty promises. They want to keep the small businesses under a certain hope that a turnaround plan is coming with the ANC to help them. The ANC is known, it is a failure. It has failed our people from unemployment that is increasing, crime in our country, inflation, everything has moved from better to bad and worse as we see a crisis at ESCOM under a full watch of the ANC. What the minister has just said is empty hope and false promises to our people.
So you and various parties, including civil society and other political parties, you've written to Public Enterprises Minister as well as the ESCOM CEO under Direct. And part of what you are saying here, and I'm borrowing, you're saying that you know the lawyers that are acting on your behalf are saying we are instructed to demand further that the state should provide the following undertakings: that there will be no load shedding without procedural fairness and a fair opportunity to make alternative arrangements to affected persons and businesses. Isn't this, though, something that South Africans do not even want to have to make, because they do not want to make alternative arrangements for a crisis that should have been resolved by now? So what do these alternative arrangements look like, and what does sufficient notice look like?
You see, Bomi, one of the reasons why we feel the court of law must be approached is that the court of law will have to compel the ANC-led government to give a detailed plan how it is going to stop the load shedding and give the time frame so that they do not sleep on duty, but honor the time frame that they will present to the people of South Africa as a deadline to deal with the load shedding. Second,
but can they, but Hlabisa, pardon me for coming in there, can I ask a follow-up question? Can they? It's been over a decade, nearly 2 decades now. Can they?
There will be a consequence. The government, the court will have to put a consequence management that if you fail to do this, one, give all people, because you see, people pay money to buy electricity and they don't have it. The government must not take money for the electricity people cannot use. I cannot decide what the government should say. We know ANC is known of its failures, but the last resort we have for now, is, because elections are only next year, is a court of law that can compel them to execute their constitutional responsibility to provide our people with electricity. If they fail to comply with the court order, the court always have a consequence management to someone transgressing the decision of the court.
All right. Let's look at the issue of, the ESCOM tariffs, because this has been one that has been, raising the ire of many organizations as well. And the DA also saying that it wants to take it to court. And it's also being raised in your letter as well. We spoke to NERSA here on the show last week, and they say that their hands are tied by the methodology. If they do not apply the methodology, ESCOM will take them to court, and they will not be able then to, defend themselves, because the rules are the rules, and they now need to start talking about them and seeing how they change these particular rules. How do you respond then to this issue of methodology that NERSA says seemingly has tied their hands?
NERSA was irresponsible in approving the price hike to 18.65%. For a failure of ESCOM to provide electricity, it is irresponsible for NERSA to consider the methodology in an entity that is as good as useless, which has rendered business to close down. It places the people of South Africa into high insecurities during the night when the electricity is under load shedding, because people are exposed to crime. So now the logic of raising the issue of methodology is irrelevant. NERSA could have said, ESCOM, you are failing to meet your obligation to provide electricity. Firstly, provide electricity to our people, and then come with an application for the price hike.
All right, Hlabisa, let's see then how this one plays out in the courts. Thank you for your time this evening. Do appreciate it. That is IFP President Velenkosini Hlabisa.